Hi, there is one thing that I think is really worth introducing into step families, and that's called a family meeting. Now that's a dreaded word, meeting, but I'm going to explain exactly how useful they can be. I post once a week, so subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell and I'll let you know every time I post. If there was one thing that I felt that step parents could do to make sure that they gave themselves the best chances of success, it would be to hold a meeting. And not just a meeting, but hold meetings at regular, but not necessarily that frequent intervals. Why? Because when people know what is expected of them, they can so much more easily deliver on that. And one of the things that stepchildren suffer from the most is they do not know what is expected of them. They have ideas about what might be expected of them, and equally, step-parents can fall into the trap of making assumptions about what a stepchild should be doing. So whenever I hear the word, well, this should be happening, or it needs to be like this, or it's always not right for some reason, I think to myself, whose fault is that? If you find yourself thinking things should be different and they should know better and they should know how to do something or other by now at their age or whatever, then think again and have a meeting. Now, meetings can carry with them all sorts of thoughts about meetings gone wrong and you don't want to have a meeting and, it's bringing everybody together and no one would want that. No one ever admits to wanting to have to attend a meeting. But if you take a meeting away or don't have a meeting, then people complain even more because they don't know what's going on and they don't know what to do for the best. So whilst they're happy to complain about having meetings, they complain even more if they don't. So if you're a step parent, hold meetings. Hold meetings because you need to make sure that communication is taking place and people know what is expected of them. And in a traditionally style family, that method of communication develops as the family grows. But in a step family, you're putting a family together. So having a meeting is something good to do. Now, couple of tips on holding meetings. Number one, the aim of having a meeting with your step family and the stepchildren is to make it so enjoyable that they all want to come back for another meeting. Your goal in that first meeting is only to make it so that everybody wants to come back and have another meeting. If you've done that, you've succeeded, because then you can have another meeting to address things. And if you have meetings at regular intervals, like the start of every holiday, or even once a year, or every 6 months, or every couple of months if you want to, but if you hold them regularly, you can address ongoing things with the family. So the aim of a meeting is primarily to make sure that everybody just wants to come back to another meeting, because then you can address things. Children especially really want to feel heard. It makes them feel valued too. So if you can also make the meeting about enabling people to have their say and have an input and to be informed of things and for that to be discussed. That alone will improve buy-in and involvement in the family. Then do plan it. Plan what you're going to say. Plan the information that you're going to give about events, what's happening, the future, anything that's going on. Think to yourself about a positive thing to say about everybody in the meeting. And think about how you'd like to, with the conclusions you'd like to draw from the meeting, if there's anything you'd like to introduce, and think of a treat to have at the end of the meeting. I don't know, a family outing, a game, some special meal, something just to round off the end of the meeting. And then this is how you could run the meeting. Bring everybody together at a time when they're all going to be there, so all members of the family, not just some of them. If you can't do that, you need to keep the people who can't attend informed and hope they can come to the next meeting. Have a little introduction about you want them to have the chance to be heard and for you to inform. Have ready a little set of ground rules, which you might include no mobile phones, no interrupting, listening well, respect. Then you can always have another sheet of paper which is called parking. And so if you come across topics at the meeting that are difficult to handle or you don't want to address them there and then or they're too acrimonious, you can park items by making a list of things that you can address at another time or later or at the next meeting, but at least you get them out of the way for this meeting. A really good question to start the meeting off is to ask them each to volunteer how they would like to feel in this family and write their answers on a sheet of paper so you've got them captured. Also, say how you'd like to feel in this family. That can be a really lovely exercise, and it's surprising what good things you get from that. People can be really warm and loving and say what they want their family to be like. Sometimes people say ridiculously stupid things like they want to be angry or they want this to be a violent family or something. But write those things down too, because that way, they may say it in a sort of tongue-in-cheek way, but you're writing it down so they know they can't just get away with being stupid. And, deal with it, but don't make a big thing of it. And then think about a collective sentence or two about how you would collectively like to feel in this family, and possibly even write those couple of sentences up and have them on the back of some kitchen door or something. It's really good way to bring the family together. And if people identify that they do want to feel loved or respected or to feel happy or for it to be a funny family, then, that's something that you can all begin to aim for. It's a good question, especially for step families. And then move on and talk about the meals that you might want to plan or ideas for what to do about different things. Ask them for their lists of things that they would like to do. If the summer holidays is coming up, for example, they may have a list of people they want to see. They may have a list of play dates they want, or activities they want to do, or things they might want to go and see or do. It's really interesting to ask your stepchildren what it is they want. It's so useful to have that list, because then you can actually just deliver on it, and that makes your job a lot easier. I had one child once that said that they wanted to be bored. Well, that was news to me, and such a relief, because when you got up in the morning and he said to me, "What are we doing today?" I could with confidence say, "Nothing much. You can be bored today if you want to." And he'd run off. He was delighted. It's surprising how much you can get from these meetings. In the next session, I will describe to you something which I call the magic question, which is really good to have at a meeting. There are actually 3 questions, but I'll cover that in the next week's session. And then finish off with a summary, a list of things that we're going to action as a result of the meeting. Think of a conclusion to the meeting before the meeting begins so you're ready. And if you haven't already had the opportunity in the meeting, just go through each person at the meeting and come up with that good thing that you thought of before the meeting to talk about. So-and-so's good at this, or so-and-so's achieved that, or so-and-so's going to be doing this, or, anything that is just a little something about positive something about everybody before you close the meeting. Remember that it's best to reprimand in private and praise in public. So keep the meeting positive. Don't get drawn into reprimands and negatives and things aren't going right. Just set things up as you would want them to be in the future, but not harp on about what's gone wrong in the past. Generally, people want to please, and what you're doing at these meetings is setting up expectations where everybody in your family knows what you want and how. And if you can make those things clear, your life can be so much better in a step family. We run workshops, sessions, we have an email response service, and we write booklets. Look at the description box below for links to our social media and website.